Morning, guys. Just going to recap our lesson from this morning in case you needed to see it again, or maybe you did not attend the Google Meet today for whatever reason. All right. So again, the first part of our Sheets lesson is posted in the Google Classroom. You need to watch the video, play around with the formatting on this first screen. Again with the column widths and the row heights and typing in here, getting used to the cells. I just typed in cell E2, etc. So that first video will take you through a lot of this. Your job is to just play around a little bit, show some evidence that you actually practiced in here, and then you can move on to the second part of the Sheets work, which is this video. All right. So down on the bottom here, you will notice there are a couple of tabs open, okay? Format, which is the sheet you were in, again, doing your colors and your sizes and whatever it is that you wanted to do here, just to experiment with things, to get used to maneuvering around the spreadsheet, okay? You've got different things that you can do here, obviously, that you learned there. Down here, you'll notice there is another tab. This is the Lists tab. This is where the second part of this lesson is going to happen and that we did in class today if you were there, okay? All right, so once you open this, you'll notice there's some preset data that I have put in here. And we're just going to do a couple different things in here to learn a few more skills moving around in the spreadsheet and manipulating some data. Okay, the first thing you'll notice here is in row 1, I have this, we will use this page in a lesson. Okay, I'm going to delete this row 1. Okay, I don't want any of this. That message is there, just so people weren't going in ahead of time and moving things around, because then it would be a mess for the lesson. So I'm going to delete this. How do I do that? I highlight the whole row. I can go up here to edit and delete row 1, and that takes care of that. The next thing I'm going to do is point out the fact that I do have some headers above my data here. Okay, right now they're in the same font, same color as everything else. I'm just going to highlight row 1 and then just give them a little bit of a boldface look. And I guess I'll just change the color to blue. That way I can tell that those are headers. I can do that down here too with my grilled number. I'm going to boldface it, and I'll just change it to blue. All right, so now I have all of my headers labeled appropriately. All right. So the first group of data you will notice here are the baseball teams. We have all the Major League Baseball teams here. My Red Sox are on top for obvious reasons, but we're going to change that. We're actually going to move these around and put them in alphabetical order. But the first thing I want to make sure I take care of here is I've got my data kind of wrapping in here to the column B, as you can see, because some of these names are longer. I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here between the A and the B, and I'm going to just move that over. So now that all of the data is in column A, and it's not flowing into the next column here, okay? All right, as I am going through this video, you guys should be doing the same exact thing, all right, for this part of the lesson in this assignment. All right, again, as mentioned in the first video, anytime you want to format anything in Sheets, you have to highlight it, okay, or be in the cell. I am going to highlight all of the baseball teams, clicking and dragging. Now, if you ever make a mistake or delete something or you move something on something else by accident, you can just do the undo button here, and as you'll notice, Control Z will also undo whatever work it is that you have made a mistake on. All right, so I'm going to just put this in alphabetical order. So if you go up here to Data, up on the drop-down menus here, you'll notice there's quite a few things that you can do in data. All right, we've got some quick buttons here that we can use for sorting them. The problem here is it doesn't always take into account that I have a header, which is the baseball teams here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to sort range. And once I do that, I want to click on this data has header row. Now sometimes you might have data that doesn't have a header, but all of our data today has headers. So we're going to click on this when we do any sorting. Now as you'll notice, the sort by changes to baseball teams, which is my header. I can go from A to Z or Z to A, so ascending order or descending order. I'm going to click sort, and that will put the teams in alphabetical order. Okay, and you can do ascending or descending on your end. Okay, next thing I'm just going to review here is with the colors. Again, anytime I want to move data, I can highlight it, and if I go right on the edge, you'll notice the hand icon comes up. I can take that, grab it, and move that data wherever I want. I'm actually going to put it in column C. And then I'm going to make my column be a little bit smaller just so I can have room when I get to this stuff over here. All right, the other thing I'm going to do with the colors is I'm going to align them by centering them. And again, if you go back on your toolbar here, go past the colors and the fonts and things, right over here, we've got the horizontal align. So I can align them on the left, which they're already set at. I can center them, or I can right align with them. Now you'll notice the numbers are right aligned. Anytime you type numbers in on a spreadsheet, they will automatically go to the right. If they don't do that, that means there's some formatting going on in a cell prior to you typing that number in. So we can do what we want here with our text. I'm going to center it up. Last thing I'll review from the first video is just if you want to add a grid here, you can come up here, add that grid in. That's just the basic black. Again, you can always change the colors of the grids if you want to whatever liking you desire. They have different border styles as well here under the pen. So if you wanted to make it a little bit thicker, you could do that. Again, you can go in and do different shading as far as whatever you want to do with the color formats. Okay, it's pretty limitless what you can do here. Okay. All right, next up, I've got a column of random numbers. One thing you will notice is that the numbers go way down on my spreadsheet here. And when I scroll down, I can't see my headers anymore. So another option we have on Sheets and other spreadsheet programs is we can freeze a row. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight row 1 again. I'm going to go up to View, and I'm going to freeze one row. You'll notice a gray line shows up here. That gray line can actually be moved around if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that here because all my headers are all lined up. And now look what happens when I scroll down. I can still see my headers as the data goes down the page. So that's how you freeze a row. You can freeze columns as well. Like if I was putting in data for each of the baseball teams here and I was moving to the right, I could freeze this whole column as well. So those things would not move. All right, so my random numbers here, you'll notice my random numbers are going over into the G column. I'm going to fix that in a different way this time. I'm going to use what is called text wrapping, which if you guys remember we did in Google Docs to move pictures around. A little different here. I want to keep random numbers all in cell F1 here, okay? But I don't want to make my column any bigger because it's numbers. And usually I don't want to have really wide columns when I have number data, especially if it's only 1 or 2 digits like this data is. So if you go up here on the toolbar, again, we go over past the aligning tools. We've got the text wrappings tool. Now again, right now we've got the overflow going. We've got the random numbers overflowing into the next column here. We had that with our baseball teams, but we fixed it by making the column wider. Okay. Here we're going to do text wrapping, which is the center icon here with the wrap. So once I do that, you'll notice the random numbers kind of stack on top of each other. If my column was too small, you would get something odd like this. You would just need to make your column a little bit wider so everything fits. I think I'm going to center this data as well. So again, I go to my align tool and I've got my header. That looks much cleaner. And the last thing here I'm going to do is, so we can practice putting things in order again, I'm going to go up to my data. Again, I highlighted everything first. I'm going to go to data, sort range. My data does have a header row. If I don't click that and I sort it, the random numbers will get organized with the numbers. Let's go Z to A this time, just so you can see that feature, and I'll have the highest number going to the lowest number in order here, sorting that data. Okay. All right, next up is the sum. Okay, the sum is the answer to an addition problem. So what I want to do is I want to add up these numbers, but I don't want to use a calculator. I want to use a feature on the spreadsheet, which is called a function. First thing I'm going to do is go to cell H14 and I'm going to write the word total. Again, at any time you can change fonts for any of these things if you want to get it a little different look going on. I'm going to align them to the right so they're a little bit closer to my total here, and I'm going to center my sum data here as well. Okay. So I'm going to have my nice total here under the numbers and next to the total label. Now to do that, when you put your function in, make sure you're in the cell that you're going to add your function to. Now what are functions? Well, they're just basic math operations that we can do on a spreadsheet, okay? And there are numerous ones that you can use in this particular spreadsheet as well as others, but we're just going to keep this real basic. I'm going to go up on the toolbar, and I'm going to go all the way to the right here to the functions option. You'll notice it is a Greek letter. This Greek letter is sigma, capital sigma, which is used in math for summation, which gives us some higher level math. Now you'll notice there's 5 very popular ones on the top here that we use, and then they have numerous other ones that I can scroll down and pick from in different categories, okay? We're just going to keep it simple here and select sum. Now you'll notice in your cell, you get an equal sign, the word sum, and then you get some parentheses here. What it's waiting for is what do you want it to add up. So it's kind of like in coding. If you've done any basic coding, there's always symbols and things that initiate what's going to happen. And when I put an equal sign in here, it's initiating that a function is going to show up. All right. So what I'm going to do now, it's just waiting for the cells. So basically what I can do here very quickly is just click on my data and highlight it. That is the range I want to highlight. I want to highlight from I2 to I13. And as you can see inside the sum parentheses, it has that. I can hit the enter button and it will add those numbers up for me. So it's a total of 436. If I wanted to highlight anything, I could put a little box around it, whatever I wanted to do. Okay. A lot of different options here with things. Okay, the average is done the same way. Again, I'll kind of center these up again. I'll put average right here. Again, I'm going to align it to the right so it's a little bit closer to the data. Again, if I want to put a function in, I've got to be in that cell. So I'm going to go back up here to my functions. Now this is average, which you'll notice is the second one here. Hit average. Again, you're going to get the equal sign, which tells us we're going to be working with a function or a math type situation. Has the command average in here, and again, I can just highlight this data and hit enter, and it will calculate the average for me of those numbers, which is 30.64285714. Now, if I want this to round off, I can go up on my toolbar again. So maybe I wanted this rounded off to the nearest hundredth. So I could go up here and you'll notice we have some decimal increase, decrease decimal places. Okay. So if I go decrease decimal places, what it will do is it will automatically round off for us. So now I've got my average set at 30.64. Right, if I wanted to do nearest whole number, I could keep going. Oh, and it would actually, it would put the 31 in there if I was doing the nearest whole number. But I'll keep it at nearest hundred. So very quick way to, averaging out of numbers. And that is going to end our second part of the lesson. We'll come back with the grilled foods here on part 3. Stay tuned.